Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Making It Work. For those out there watching who don't know, Making It Work is a series brought to you by Retail TouchPoints and Aptos. And our goal is to not just dig into the hot trends that are dominating retail headlines. Our goal is to go a layer deeper and provide some tactical insights and best practices that will help you make these trends work for your business. I'm Alicia Esposito, and I have joining me on the line once again, Dave Bruno and Richard Willis of Aptos. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey, you're welcome, Alicia.
Great to be here, Alicia.
So this is a very fun topic lined up for today. We are getting into the last mile. And I say it's fun because for a long time, last mile, whether it be delivery, supply chain, logistics, it's always been perceived as a very back-end operational process, right? But over the past year, we have really seen last mile and delivery experiences come to the forefront as a driver of the customer experience. So before we get into the nitty gritty, the tactical takeaways, let's start at a high level. Opening the floor to both of you. How have customer expectations of delivery changed since the pandemic? Because today we want to get into same-day delivery specifically.
Yeah, so why don't I kick the session off, Alicia? And through research, what we know is expectations have definitely been elevated during the pandemic. We know over 90% of consumers, when they hear fast delivery, they now associate it with same-day delivery. It's not next day; it's now same day. And we know a majority of millennials and Gen Zs, particularly surveyed, expect to have same-day delivery when they're shopping online. And a majority of consumers are now willing to actually pay for that same-day delivery service. So yes, our need for instant gratification when shopping has definitely increased during the pandemic.
I agree, Richard, and not only have expectations shifted, but we are seeing actual behaviors change as well. There's some interesting data points comparing the number of consumers who ordered same day from an online only merchant, which you would expect to be higher, but also from a physical store. And the online merchant who have ordered same day from an online merchant is up 24% from August of last year, and 26% have ordered same day delivery now from a physical store, which is up about 14%. So we're definitely starting to see an uptick in both expectations and behaviors. And as far as future behaviors go, almost 7 in 10 have said that fast delivery options would lead them to place an order, would be a motivating factor for placing an order. So Alicia, I think it's clear that both expectations and behaviors have definitely shifted towards same day.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's interesting to see everything line up in that direction, because I know sometimes consumers may say something, but their actual behaviors may not completely line up, which causes retailers to kind of pause on their investments. But it seems like there is a big opportunity for retailers to further invest and differentiate, because I know, even in our past conversations, right, when we've talked about same day delivery or fast delivery just at a higher level, I personally always think of Amazon. I'm sure a lot of consumers feel the same way, and even the retail executives who may also be consumers of Amazon. But let's dig a little bit deeper into the bigger opportunity for the non-Amazons, right? Because that's really what we want to get into the heart of today. It seems like there's an opportunity for them to gain a competitive foothold of some sort, especially as we go outside of the larger cities, right? Like New York City, that's very condensed and it's easy to fulfill those orders quickly and efficiently. Dave, let's start with you. What are you seeing from this perspective, the retailer opportunity? And do you agree that there's this, low-hanging fruit opportunity to further differentiate or stand out from the Amazons of the world?
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree, Alicia. That's kind of the reason why we've done this work to put this content program together, because we're trying to encourage our customers to really consider this as a one of those rare opportunities to kind of punch the pure plays in the nose. They have built-in advantages with brick and mortar locations outside of the cities, right? Amazon, the other pure plays, they struggle to offer same day outside of those dense city centers for a large percentage of their assortments. Now they're moving that way, but today we already have stores in place in those more far flung, if you will, outside the city center locations with inventory and people, all of the goodness that comes from having a physical store nearby with regard to trust, making returns easy, access to post purchase support, all of the things that the stores bring to the conversion model are already in place. So there's an advantage there, because for the pure play, the online players, to get there, they've got to add warehouse space, which is expensive, right? I saw one interesting estimate from an analyst that said for every additional $1 billion in e-commerce sales, and let's throw around billions because it's so easy to add $1 billion in revenue, but we all know there are at least a couple of companies that treat $1 billion as a, day-to-day conversation. But, to add an additional billion in sales, it requires about 1.25 million square feet of distribution center space. So, that's not insignificant, and from a cost and an infrastructure standpoint. So the stores have a built-in advantage, right? The suburbs represent that opportunity. If we can do this well, promote it, and build behaviors in our stores, it makes it that much harder for the pure plays to pry them away from our stores when they eventually begin to expanding their offer outside of the bigger cities.
And I agree with you there, Dave. We've seen a number of pure plays during the pandemic and beyond, the likes of Farfetch and a smaller niche retailer, Matches Fashion, providing same day delivery, which is something that is definitely taking off, particularly here in the UK, but very much around those inner cities. So I agree with you. The differentiator for retailers is that greater physical presence, and using it as using those stores as a way of getting to their customers quickly.
Obviously, the infrastructure, the real estate of the store, a big advantage. Also, the human capital within the stores, right, to be able to manage those tasks, go between serving customers and picking and packing orders. There are definitely a few areas where there are cost savings, there are efficiencies that maybe the pure plays don't have. So let's dig into how retailers are actually capitalizing on these opportunities and responding to this new same day imperative that we talked about earlier. Richard, what are some of the actions or moves that you're seeing retailers make, and are there any known or unknown challenges as they try to roll out same day delivery that maybe they have had to navigate or tackle in the process?
For me, I think it's still going to take a while for the majority of bricks and mortars retailers to fully embrace same day delivery. Obviously their answer to it today is offering click and collect. So the customer goes to them, or the reserve and collect. But actually we are now seeing some retailers investing in their stores and their application infrastructure to create these micro fulfillment centers that we're advocating, redesigning stores to accommodate picking and packing needs. And we've seen some research that noted front of house was really a big area of redesign during the pandemic. So we are seeing retailers making that investment and recognizing those stores as fulfillment centers. But in terms of providing the service, there are retailers who are looking at their own associates to provide these delivery services. But actually what we are seeing is partnership, and partnership of creating those delivery services, and starting to add premium charges for same day versus the free option of next day. But actually, if I look here in the UK particularly, we had same day delivery from fashion retailers, and they were using a service called Shuttle. Shuttle was, if you may remember, acquired by eBay, and they concentrated very much on eBay services. So we know the concept and we know the demand was there. But actually, what is happening now globally, and what I'm seeing significantly across Europe, is this rise of what's now labeled Q-commerce. A whole array of new delivery companies getting extra funding. And these are basically third-party delivery services offering anything from 1 hour upwards to get your favorite food or groceries, which, as I say, I'm sure it'll come back to fashion particularly. And again, just looking here at the UK, there are retailers like one particular retailer called Screwfix, which is really around builders, DIY tools and hardware, that are now trialing a 30-minute delivery service in one particular focus center. So these initiatives are beginning to get trialed by more than just the grocers that we've become used to. But of course, as you rightly pointed out, there are challenges for retailers, and none less than actually once you start, you've got to not only set the right level of expectation, but actually make sure you deliver on those expectations. The biggest thing the worst thing you can do for your brand is miss those expectations. So once you start, really actually build up and ramp up and keep an eye on your competitors, because if you drop a service, those competitors will pick up very quickly. But some fundamentals, getting under the detail, what does it mean? You've got to look at your inventory. You've got to make sure that there's accuracy of your inventory and visibility. And that requires the right solutions to help you source from the right places and keep control over that inventory and balance between that online demand and actually now, and particularly here as we're in, I guess I call it Freedom Week, we've gone through Freedom Day to Freedom Week, actually making sure that now you've got people flowing back to the stores, that you balance that out. And check out these, Dave used an interesting term to me the other day about gig companies. So the Deliveroos, the Instacarts, the Buy Me's, make sure you've got the right partnership. You're measuring that last mile performance of those guys. And of course, there are legal and insurance implications. And in Europe, many legal implications to changing people's roles as well, so that these extra services can be taken out. So, a real lot of activity in this space as retailers are really trying to address this new same day demand that we have.
And it's fascinating as you start to unpack, these different approaches. There are those complexities, the things that you need to consider, you need to address, especially if you're going to be partnering with a third-party provider, not just the technical and the, liability issues, but also the brand-related issues, right? Like you talked about, making sure you can deliver upon that promise. So you alluded, Richard, to a few pilots, a few retailers that are testing different things, which is great. So let's dig into tangible examples of retailers that are either fully getting it right, they're really mastering the same day opportunity, or they're farther along in the maturity curve. Dave, you have a global perspective, but largely, a U.S. concentration. So do you have any insights on which retailers we should look to as models for same day delivery excellence?
Yeah, Alicia, for sure. Grocers and big box retailers, they've got a lead on almost everyone, with the possible exception of, some of the big pure plays like Amazon. The pandemic just forced them to quickly implement, scale, optimize their same day delivery programs. And, Some of them got it right immediately. Some of them had a few missteps, but in general, the grocers and the big boxes have figured this out. So if we want to look for examples, let's look there for sort of the standard by which retail will be judged. Specialty retail will be judged by the consumers. But in luxury, and again, perhaps no surprise because luxury customers are more able and accustomed to paying for these types of services. So Nordstrom, only in New York City, but Nordstrom has figured out how to do this service well for a $20 fee. Neiman Marcus is receiving great reviews for their same day delivery and also for a $20 fee. And then interestingly, Selfridges inside the London M25 corridor there, they're not only offering same day, but they're even offering you the ability to specify a 2-hour window when you would like that delivery. So a little bit of a grain of salt. If you're not in luxury, there may be aspects of those services that are difficult to match from a cost standpoint, but nonetheless, good examples to use as guides as you're beginning to think about how you might offer it. And then, Richard, you mentioned this with the gig economy and Instacart as well. We are seeing a bunch of non-luxury retailers turn to the partners, the Q-commerce companies, Instacart, and again, here in the States, I know, Richard, you probably have some other examples, but like Best Buy, Sur La Table, Sephora, the Container Store have all, since the pandemic, begun offering the 2-hour delivery through Instacart. So we're seeing it. In luxury, they seem to be doing it themselves. In non-luxury, they seem to be looking for Q-commerce partners.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. We've seen a similar growth in Europe and in the UK, and particularly with regards to grocers teaming up with those service partners. I mentioned Buy Me earlier on that's working with a number of grocers across the UK. Not so much. You mentioned Selfridges, and they're definitely leading the way. Others are thinking about it in continental Europe. The omnichannel concept, that whole service piece is still a little way behind where we are at the moment, but there's examples coming out there. But I think it won't be before long when the European market catches up to what's going on in North America.
Fascinating. I love that luxury angle and a surprising, I think, category that has really emphasized this new opportunity. But we're almost at time, gentlemen. So, of course, in typical fashion, I'm going to close it out with a doozy of a question that could probably be another hour. We always try to offer some tactical takeaways, some guidance for all the folks watching now that are either thinking about rolling out same day, or maybe, Dave, to your earlier point, had to stand something up quickly. Maybe it's not where you want it to be. You want it to get better, more efficient, more cost effective, more reliable. So Richard, let's start with you. What recommendations do you have for everyone watching right now? How do we get to that next level from a same day delivery execution perspective? Any recommendations?
Yeah, so let me leave a couple of points for the folks joining us today. I think, first of all, what I'd say is understand what your customers want, specifically what they want, how badly they want it, and actually if they're willing to pay to get it same day. And then also, importantly, alongside that, understand what your competition are doing. Are you leading the pack, or are you playing catch up on there? But once you've understood what your customer is looking for, what their expectations are, what they're actually willing to pay for, then set your realistic expectations. Don't gun for 30 minutes. Set those timelines. Think about how many people have you got in your stores? How long is it going to take you to carry out the process? And equally important, have a communication plan for when things go wrong, because inevitably at the start they will. Nobody has an issue with things going wrong as long as somebody communicates with them. So that's a couple of points there. From the delivery side, we talked about these gig companies, the Q-commerce folks. Evaluate those partners as options. That outsourcing of that very last bit of the last mile is a double-edged sword. It can work really well, but evaluate those options. There's plenty of them out there, but supervise them constantly. And then finally, it comes down to your order management processes. It comes down to really optimizing those services. Monitor your order volumes. Don't over commit your stores. Manage that and manage that inventory carefully, so that you're minimizing out of stocks after you've taken the order. That's the critical element. So it's all about managing the time and or equally, track the status, have tools to help you track the status and get alerts on those exceptional situations, as I mentioned previously.
Yeah, all good points, Richard. And, spoiler alert, that's where at Aptos we think we can help. We help retailers all over the globe who rely upon our order management system to do just those things, right? To help them and offer and optimize same-day delivery amongst almost 35 other unique customer order use cases. And we support a lot of the things that you just talked about, right? Real-time inventory visibility, intelligent order sourcing and routing so we don't swamp the stores or one particular store with too many orders and they can't keep up, as well as all of the bits and pieces that it takes to have a true store fulfillment process integrated throughout the enterprise. So, we feel like the purpose of these sessions is not to sell software, but we do want to remind you that that's what we're in business to do, and we feel like we have some solutions to help. And if you're interested, we'd love to have a conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree, Dave. Yeah, totally agree. It is, it's a balance of making sure you got the people, making sure you got the right solutions in place and the sophistication to do that. And of course, behind that order management system, and of course, you need the right planning solutions, which is a whole new topic for another day. But I totally agree. It is very much around those points you raised there.
It really illustrates, I think, how nuanced the entire process is. It's not something that you can switch on and just go for it, right? It does take a lot of planning, a lot of orchestration, and it's clear that if you don't think through all of the layers, even the customer communication side, it can easily unravel from a customer experience standpoint. Well, for now, gentlemen, again, I think we covered a lot of great ground in a short session together. I know there are so many follow-up points, but for now, thank you both so much for taking the time out to chat with me, dig into some of the latest trends, consumer expectations, and how retailers can start to tackle them and turn them into their new competitive differentiator.
You got it. Thanks, Alicia, Great. As always.
Thanks, Alicia.
And to all of you, of course, thank you for joining us for this installment of Making It Work. If you're looking for some more insights around the same-day delivery movement and ways that you can capitalize on this new opportunity, the Aptos team created this fantastic interactive checklist that digs into some of the best practices that we shared today. So please feel free to check that out, get some more ideas and inspiration, and hopefully start your journey to same-day success. We have a few more episodes lined up for this series, so be on the lookout for those in-depth conversations as they come. But for now, thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.